The 5 most improved teams in the league from free agency. RC.
I'm going to start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look at this picture. Look at Nick Foles, a Super Bowl MVP. But he has nothing to do with why they are better. They are simply better because Blake Bortles is no longer their quarterback. That's it. They could have picked you, Greeny. They could have had Laura at quarterback, and it would have been better than what they were with Blake Bortles. It was not only just his play, it was that the team couldn't believe in him. The defense was upset because the offense couldn't make plays. So to get Nick Foles there, a guy that's proven a good starter, but to have Blake Bortles out, I think that is huge for this team, and that's why they're my number 5 team. Number 4 is going to be the Packers. Usually the Packers stand pat in free agency. They're not a team that goes out and gets a ton of players, but now you get Zadarius Smith. He's coming over from the Baltimore Ravens. Preston Smith, an outside linebacker, a rush in from the Washington Redskins, and Adrian Amos, who was one of the top free agent safeties that could be had after Landon Collins goes, Tyrann Mathieu goes. This is a guy that's going to help this Packers secondary, and so I believe in them in the way that they move in the offseason. Number 3, the Raiders. I'm sorry, the Raiders. I was about to say the Walruses, the Raiders. And listen, because, Antonio Brown kind of like a walrus with his mustache. This team got better. One, they weren't a team that could push the ball down the field last year outside. You go out and get Tyrell Williams. You get Antonio Brown, one of the greatest wide receivers of this generation, period. A future Hall of Famer. You now have Derek Carr, who was much maligned, not only outside of Oakland, but by John Gruden. You now give him weapons. You give him an opportunity to push the ball down the field. And I think this team got better because now you get an opportunity to score points. And look who is number 2, Greeny. Your guys.
Yes.
Look at that smile.
Yes.
Now, Sam and Donald, your 2 children, not the guy that plays quarterback for the Jets. He has a security blanket. You have a run game now you can go into the play action, but you also have a guy that wins his matchups against linebackers in the passing game. What's an underrated move they made is C.J. Mosley on the defensive side. You had Jamison Crowder in the slot. This is a team that understood we have a young quarterback. We have young stars like Jamal Adams. Let's add some pieces to this team and give us an opportunity to compete. And number 1, the Rams. Oh, no, I'm just playing. I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. The Cleveland Browns. Look at what this team has done. They went out, they got Kareem Hunt. He's the guy, he won't be available until after the 8th game of the season, but you add him to Nick Chubb, you now have a 2-headed running attack. You also look at this offense now. Odell Beckham Jr. is your number 1. Jarvis Landry is the de facto number 1 who plays the slot. Antonio Callaway is a guy who has first-round talent. If it wasn't for some off-the-field stuff, would have been drafted earlier. And Baker Mayfield is a stud. This team is going to be extremely good, extremely tough to stop.
All right, so there's a ton to unpack there, and there's not a whole lot to disagree with, but there were a few thoughts. When we were watching some of that video of the Browns, as you were describing them, you talked about the offensive acquisitions, and those got a lot of ink. They made so many defensive acquisitions.
Absolutely.
We saw there a little bit with Vernon and Richardson. Have they improved enough to where, to you now, they are the team to beat in that division?
100%. This is the team going into the season that, to me, is the leader in the AFC North and the team that could challenge with the Patriots, with the Chiefs, to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. This team is that explosive. There's that much young talent, and I believe Steve Wilkes on defense will get them headed in the right direction.
So, and then we get to the Jets, and as Ryan already mentioned, I've already renamed my children Sam and Darnold. If you have any, will you name them Le'Veon? Because, I mean, I've run out.
How much will you pay me, like
well,
20
we
bucks
can talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's getting paid 50-something million.
Right.
But
He should probably give some money.
Rex Ryan said, if the Jets don't make the playoffs, it's a disappointment. Now, Rex loves to put pressure on the Jet coaches.
Right, 100%.
Do you believe they are a playoff team now?
I don't know. I don't believe they've improved to the point that the Cleveland Browns have in the offseason, and they're still that team, the New England Patriots, who are in the AFC East. And so it's going to be difficult for them to overtake them, but this is a team that will compete to be a playoff contender.
I want to go really quickly just back to the fact that you said the Jaguars would have been more excited about having us at quarterback than Blake Bortles. Can we just confirm that that's true?
No, that's the true thing.
Really
I've actually talked to people, and they said we would want Greeny and Rutledge at quarterback. Honestly,
scary.
When you look at this team, I think it was being held back by Blake Bortles. This wasn't a team that could move the ball offensively. They couldn't pass it efficiently with having Blake Bortles. And so now having Nick Foles, having somebody that they believe in, also a great locker room guy and a leader, which was something the Jacksonville Jaguars needed very badly.
Yeah, that defense's lack of belief in the offense
100%.
fractured the entire
Absolutely
team.
did.
And that says a lot about a lot of different people, but one way or another, they needed to make that change.